Hi, this is Jenny Bair of Living Well Dallas, and I'm a part of the Organizing Angels team, and Terry Cox and Chicka Shanklin are also organizing angels, and they're out doing just that today. But we thought about it. We wanted to give you some tips about how to keep your child's bedroom and playroom organized. The first tip is I'm going to give you a definition that we use in organizing land called threshold. So for example, we're in the South. We have a cup of iced tea. So you pour that tea, and that tea at some point is going to start overflowing that cup. The same principle happens to us emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, and spatially. So I want you to think about the fact that kids can be overwhelmed at a certain threshold lower than most adults. So what that means is it is better actually for them to have less clothes, less toys to choose from. So I want you to think about the concept of threshold translating into your space. So let's say you have 2 bookcases, like the ones behind me. Okay, so with the 2 bookshelves behind me, I can only put so many books and pieces of decor in that, and then I'm done. So I have to pick my most favorite books, my most favorite toys that are going to stay in my room. And this is the thing, you want to choose things that you are acceptable for your kids to play with when you're not there. So these may be more of the books, the play toys, the fairyland, the Barbies, the small trucks, wooden blocks, those types of things that can keep your kid occupied and get them loving their room. But, if they're not at the right age, you definitely don't want to leave crayons and markers, oh my, because you might end up with stuff all over the walls that you have to take care of later. So you want to be thinking about what's appropriate to keep in the child's room. Then you want to think about threshold, because that dictates, excuse me, how many things you're going to have living in that space. And you want to think about developmental age. You want to be thinking about their eye, their height, their mobility to be able to get things in and out. In kids' rooms and in playrooms, we're kind of the big fans, unless it's teeny small pieces. We're big fans of open containers, like baskets that have the cute lining. The little cubes that you can get at Target or IKEA, where you can just easily put your hand in, put your hand out. That is easy for kids, and you really want to be thinking about that concept, A, for their ease developmentally, but also clean up, everybody clean up, because we want to teach them that these are their belongings and we put them away at the end of the day. So going back to your threshold, these 2 shelves could hold a lot of stuff. And some things need to be contained and some things do not. So books probably don't necessarily need to be contained, but you could use cubes, you could use baskets, you could use clear containers to really maximize your space, because then, especially if you have clear containers with lids for older kids, those are able to stack. And you have to think about whether your child can actually lift that off the shelf. So there may be some things at kid height and then some things at mommy's height. So that's really important to think about as well. This is a very important rule that we were in discussion with a client yesterday. And we were trying to teach this concept to the kids. We sort of believe in the 1 in, 1 out rule. Because if you're trying to keep your threshold at, where it is not overflowing in the playroom or the kids' room or actually any other area in the house, let's say birthday comes around. This is a great time of year to say, okay, at every birthday, it is time for a big purge. Because we have so many things on our plate, it is very difficult to keep up with, okay, I've got to do this monthly, I've got to do this quarterly, I've got to do this then. But let's use every birthday, every big holiday that's important to you. That's a good time to sort of sort and purge and recontainerize everything. So with the 1-to-1 rule, you get a new toy coming in or a new book coming in, 1 book or toy has to go out. We're also a big fan of changing that rule a little bit. 1 new thing comes in, 2 new things go out, especially if we've exceeded the threshold and haven't kept everything contained on our shelves, shall we say. If things have gotten a little crazy since the last time you purged and things aren't fitting into the containers, you've exceeded your threshold, for sure. Try to engage your child or yourself if you're organizing for yourself in another room, is 1 thing comes in, 2 things go out. The last tip that I want to give is about labels. If your child can read, no prob. You can do all kinds of labels. You can do ones on tags that hang off with ribbons. Those are really fun. Those are really cute. You can actually P-touch label it and stick it right to the container if your container will hold. Sometimes fabric ones don't hold. Or if your child cannot read yet, you can always do clip art off of the internet, or you can actually take a picture of the item and then print it out on photo paper, and then you laminate it or get it in little laminated pockets, and you can attach that straight to the front of the container, and then your child that can't read knows, okay, I'm not going to be confused. I know that wooden blocks go into this container. And you know, we hear a lot of parents that are like, oh, they're too young, they can't do this. Bull. I just really want to challenge you to rethink that. There are a lot of tasks developmentally at every age that every child is completely 100% capable of, even if they do not do it like you would want them to do it. But they can start learning even before the age of 1, and at 1, 2, 3, they are still very capable of helping you put things back into the containers at the end of the night. So this is where sort of Power 15 or Power 30 comes in every night, every day. This is where we do a little cleanup, do a little life admin, do a little organization stuff around the house, so that when you start off the next day, then your bedroom's clean, the playroom's clean. You kind of have a fresh start to your day. And then what you're doing is you're teaching your kids responsibility. And if you're teaching them responsibility, that's awesome, because then you have an empowered child at the age of 18 when they are leaving you. They know how to take care of business and keep themselves organized when they go off to school, if that's what they decide to do. And more importantly, as a busy parent, a busy mom, a busy dad, you know, it takes a little bit more time at the beginning because you have to be consistent. You have to be a good role model. You have to show them. And that does take more time. And so what happens is a lot of parents just end up doing that for them. No, no, no. You do not want that to happen, because what will happen is if you, and we see this every day, all the time, they get to be sort of preteen, and then you're trying to impose new rules on them about cleaning up and organization, and they're like, why? You've done it for me all this time. So I just want to encourage you, the earlier start, the better, and the less resistance you're going to have. So again, these are principles that you can put into play. Think about your threshold. Then you want to think about the type of container that makes it easy for you and your child to get stuff in and out. You want to think about what types of things you want your child to be able to play with. Let's say if you're in the other room, what's acceptable for them to play with and get off the shelf themselves. You want to think about the type of labels so that you work with them, whether they can read or not read yet, and help them out. And you want to think about placement on the shelves for mom height versus kid height. And you want to remember the 1-to-1 rule. One comes in, one goes out, or the one comes in and the two goes out rule. So in a summary, those are the tips that we have to help keep your kids' bedroom and your playroom with a little bit more order. And if you need more help organizing, feel free to give us a jingle jangle at 972-930-0260. And you can check us out online, www.livingwelldallas.com. And we hope that you have a lot of fun getting your playroom and your bedrooms back in order. Bye-bye.